Ready or Not is a tactical first-person shooter which follows the operations of a police SWAT team in California in the midst of a crime wave. Starting the game from complete scratch can be boring and little exhausting. Hence, in this video I've got some beginner tips that will aid a lot during the initial hours of your play, and I'll try to explain as many things regarding the game and its features within the 8 minutes of time span. I'll also make sure to provide you some useful gameplay tips along the way. This video will not only help you get a better understanding of the game, but it will also help you play the game more effectively than before. In Ready or Not, where movement matters the most, many players prefer swift movement over walking. Strangely, the game lacks a dedicated sprint option. Despite the game lacking this feature, an alternative for faster movement exists, which can be achieved by toggling the low ready feature, which is linked to the default control in your bindings. Unfortunately, this aspect often goes unnoticed, as many players neglect to press delete and remain oblivious to this alternative. The advantage lies in the ability to customize game settings. For instance, you can bind the low ready feature to the left shift button on your keyboard. While other keys are an option, the left shift button is a strategic choice, aligning with the familiar sprint function in many FPS games. The game heavily focuses on search. That is why strategic planning for your entry holds the key. While it might seem safer to approach hostile areas with less aggression to avoid casualties, this approach can paradoxically pose risks due to its passive nature and time consumption. That's why you should consider employing C2 charges to blast open doors before entering. Detonating doors with C2 charges achieves more than just blowing up the door, by also damaging anyone in the room, essentially functioning as a flashbang without the need for a separate grenade. Keep in mind that this concussion effect only affects enemies near the door. Moreover, it instantly eliminates the enemy that are exactly behind the door, making room entry significantly easier without the concern of nearby hostiles. If you find yourself facing a door obstacle and lack breaching charges or a shotgun, kicking the door down is also a viable alternative. It typically takes 2 to 4 kicks to bring a door down, and this method is excellent for surprising enemies. Just make sure that your teammate is ready to throw in a flashbang as soon as the door drops to stun occupants in the room. To effectively see what's on the other side of a door, use the mirror gun and slide it under the door. This allows you to observe the situation and determine the number of suspects. Keep in mind that the mirror gun is a utility tool, and you can only bring one. For solo play, it's highly recommended, but if you're playing with your friends, ask the person to coordinate who has that utility. Typically, before entering, you have to scan what lies behind the door and within the room. The risk is that enemy hostiles behind the door may detect your movement, leading to an attack from behind. If you're standing in front of the door when this happens, you can easily become a target. There are many instances where you need to stand outside a room to ensure it's safe before entering. If you or your teammates are checking a room, avoid standing directly in front of the door, which can be avoided by standing slightly towards the side of the door. While scanning, be aware that your movement can be heard inside the room, making you an easy target for enemies. Navigating through numerous rooms in search of suspects or evidence can be confusing over time. A practical tactic to prevent enemy advances is using a door wedge to secure a door in place, preventing it from opening until the wedge is removed. This simple action significantly reduces the risk of dangerous scenarios. Placing a door wedge is effortless. Just grab it, look at the bottom of a door, and position it. You can also use it strategically to block exit areas, preventing enemies from escaping and regrouping. When entering enemy territory, it's crucial to acknowledge the potential threat of flankers, waiting for an opportune moment to strike back, as there are multiple doors in the area which can pose a serious danger to your team. To counter this, strategically placing wedges underneath doors in possible flanking spots works as one of the best possible ways. This not only prevents suspects from running away, but also safeguards your squad from surprise attacks through side doors. Ready or Not offers a diverse range of maps, featuring varying room sizes. Dealing with smaller rooms is considerably straightforward and can easily be mastered as you make your progress into the game, but the challenge escalates when contending with multiple doors or places that have those doors. Clearing numerous rooms can be bewildering, and marking completed or scanned ones becomes crucial. The best way to do this is by using Chemlights as helpful indicators. After successfully clearing a room and collecting loot, strategically place a Chemlight and proceed. With a limit of 10, you should be very careful with the usage of these Chemlights. This tip will not only save you a lot of time, but will also help you in getting around the rooms more quickly and swiftly. Since Ready or Not is a tactical co-op game, communication plays a huge role in the outcome of your missions. Even if you're playing with bots, it's best to give them frequent commands instead of just standing around while you do everything. If you have trouble issuing commands to your bot teammates, you might want to consider using voice commands to make things easier. Honestly, the best strategy in this game to be successful and win is to communicate with your teammates. By communicating everything, you will have a much easier time playing. Especially when using the mirror gun, you should communicate everything to your team about what you see exactly. A lot of shooting games encourage you to shoot anything that moves, but this isn't the case with Ready or Not. You can run into civilians or even hostages as you clear out buildings, and sometimes it is really hard to tell if the suspect is an enemy or a civilian, so it's up to you to make that call. The thing to keep in mind is that the civilians in this game will make sudden and erratic movements, but those movements can lead to them grabbing a weapon or trying to get to safety. I hope this list of tips help you when just starting out in Ready or Not. If you've got any tips you'd like pass along, share it with us in the comments. While you're here, be sure to check out beginner guides for other video games. One of your favorite games might be there too. For everything else gaming, keep it here. I'll see you all in the next video.